Hey everyone. Thanks for letting me be with you a little earlier today with Dr. Steve Welsh. What a great man he is. I'm so honored to have gotten to know he and his wife and daughter over these last couple of years. Truly a remarkable chiropractic family. Actually, his daughter-in-law is also a chiropractor. So they have lots of chiros in the family. Speaking of an amazing chiropractor, this guy is pretty awesome if you don't know him. Dr. Brian Dooley, a great friend of mine, a teacher at Chiropractic College of Chiropractic and in practice as well. And I'm pretty sure he's a pretty phenomenal dad from
I think
what I
so.
can tell. And the things that he says, which must be true.
Right.
I do know that he makes a wicked Dooley
Dulacino.
Dulacino. I got to have one a couple weeks ago,
Yes.
and it definitely gave me a better start to the day that I can only imagine. Starting every day with one of those has got to be primo. And he even brought me a a cheesecake donut.
Yes.
I haven't had a donut in years, and I got to tell you, that one was to die for. So we are on the character of innate forces, which says
Yep.
the forces of innate intelligence never injure or destroy the structure in which they work. What does that mean?
So what that one's based on, we have innate intelligence. That what innate intelligence wants to do is keep the matter in which it's residing in existence. And so what innate, because it is in what we would call the immaterial, there's nothing really to affect it or quote unquote make it go bad. What happens is it can't be expressed the way that it really wants, especially if you have a vertebral subluxation. So if there's pressure on the nerves, so think about innate being like a guitar player, and it will just play the notes of the Layla guitar solo, and it'll sound good as long as the matter of the guitar is in tune. So as long as your spinal cord is in tune and the nerves are in tune, then the notes that innate's playing, it's going to be proper. But if the matter itself is bad, then that's where, or challenged maybe, that's where the issue is going to become. So the issue doesn't reside in innate. Innate, when bad things happen to us, innate's not the cause of that. There's something else that's going on. So a popular one is going to be, well, what about autoimmune disease where the body's attacking itself? And the response to that would be if innate's not getting the proper input to say this is the response that it needs to make, there's not going to be a response. And so this is where then maybe the matter is not going to work as well as possible. So if you've got your kids playing down and they're making up some noise, you hear things are starting to break in the kitchen. If you're not able, but you're in a room and you're yelling and screaming and you're not able to hear what they're doing, or B, you're not able to get the message out, well, then guess what? They're going to tear up the house. And so that kind of goes on with the cells of our body, that if innate's not able to get the message, then it's hard to deliver the message back to say this is the proper course of action. And so that's why it's so vitally important that people have a healthy spine and a healthy nerve system. So it's not innate that's causing the problem. It's other things. And so, we talked about limitations of matter last time. So this would be one with what about frostbite, right? Where innate's pulling the blood for survival of the body. And that's not that innate is still not given hypothermia to our digits. That's still universal intelligence overcoming the limitation of that matter. Just because innate's pulling the blood, it's not injuring the tissue. It's still the cold that's injuring the tissue. There's just not as much blood or warmth there in order to protect it from frostbite.
You've talked about this one in the past, I can tell.
Once or twice.
I love the analogy of the guitar.
Yeah.
Like the guitar is playing this wonderful, like the person and it is playing this wonderful song, but if the matter is interfered with, it's not exactly going to come out the way that you want it to. So
Right.
I think a great example of that in the autoimmunity is obviously. Are you getting awful feedback? Or just me?
You sound pretty good to me.
Oh, when I talk, I hear awful feedback on my end.
Hang on. That was not feedback. That was me dropping things.
It's okay.
Is that any better?
I don't know. Let me go on and see. Yes, I think it's somewhat better.
All right.
It's like I'm hearing two, like an echo and like a,
Oh, I sound great in stereo.
and
Well, I've added reverb. So good to talk to you.
that's awesome.
Do, lee. It's like I'm
To walk around and
I'm at
with one of
Yankee Stadium. Now batting. Number two.
That's awesome. All right, so that would be a great example of like what happens with vaccines, right? Like
Yeah.
that it starts, it totally mucks up the song that's supposed to be played. So innate is on the job, but there's a massive amount of interference in
Right.
how it's going to be able to express itself because of the chemical damage.
Right.
So then let's talk about these principles as it relates to, you know, a mom comes into your office with, let's say, their 3-year-old child, and she says, you know, Dr. Dooley, I didn't know anything about vaccines. I didn't know that, you know, I just thought that my kid had to have vaccines because that's what the pediatrician told me. And now I'm learning they have all of these problems. And I'm suspicious if they are related to vaccines because I'm confused because my child is basically kind of healthy, but has all of these other problems. How would you explain innate intelligence and an optimal expression to this mom?
Well, you know, at this point, I mean, number one, it would be like, you know, well, Mrs. Johnson, number one, the decisions you made up to this point, um, don't feel like you were wrong. You acted in the best, with the best information you had at the time, and you made the best decision that you possibly could for your child, and any parent would do that. So, number one, I don't want to make you ever feel like you're wrong. But then number two is you're starting to learn and see about some of these things. Well, what about the health of my child? Well, ma'am, your child has an innate intelligence inside of him or her, just like you do. So what's helping, you know, think about when you were creating that child, right? You didn't think about forming a foot or a kidney or a heart or a lung, right? But your body was able to do that on its own. I don't know. I can't keep track of my own keys. And my body's built up of 70 million trillion cells. So I need something to keep all that working as well as possible. Any working mom would understand that when you're overstressed, that's when things start to break down. And the job of innate is basically to keep the garage of your life, everything clean and organized on the shelves of where they need to be. And it will do that for your son and your daughter as well. And so, and you know, the vaccine that came into your son or daughter is no different than the sport trauma that they took. It's no different than eating just garbage food. It's no different than all these crazy thoughts that we get of jobs and family. We're so stressed. And so what innate will able to do is help process what's been done so far and then get the best knowledge that you can. So now moving forward, you can continue to make the best decision for your kids with the most knowledge that you possibly can. It's the knowledge that has the power, not of when you used it. And so if you didn't know about it, you didn't know about it. So is what it is. And so, but now we can do, we can ensure that they have a much healthier life with the nervous system free of interference and subluxation, and therefore their body's working like it should.
You know, I really and truly hope that more doctors and students watch these because I think that you are an unbelievable communicator. And one of the things that I love that Dr. Brian just did is he didn't make that person wrong. I had a call with one of the individuals from NVIC, National Vaccine Center, today, and you know, Alaska was starting to become kind of a battleground for that. And she said that the vaccine debate is lost on the fact that the army on the ground chooses the wrong battle. So the battle isn't vaccines are bad. The battle is informed consent. That individuals have a right to know the truth about what is being injected into their child. And that really has to be the stance that we take in our practices as well on everything about health, on
Right.
vaccines, on potential surgeries, on chiropractic, on
Right.
supplements, really and truly to help our practice members know that they have the ability to arm themselves and to be empower themselves with education. And so I think it's really important, like kind of a dialogue in the boot camp today about the importance of staying in touch with your database. Like your database doesn't know how much better their body can function unless you tell them. And it can't just be, like once in a while we tell them, or it can't just be like off the cuff. It's making that point and taking them a step through as to what leads to ill health and therefore what gives better health. And it always comes back to the importance of helping them make informed decisions, and not just decisions that agree with us, but decisions on their own part. So Brian, thank you so much for emphasizing that importance of the informed, like it's not their fault. No one ever wants to come closer to us because we make them wrong. Hey, look at who's in the audience. Dawn Dooley.
Oh, she's my favorite.
She's your favorite.
She might be my favorite Dooley, and I put in including myself, which I don't say that about many of the Dooleys. I can promise you that.
That's awesome. So thanks, Dawn, for joining us, and Taylor and Crystal. The rest of you, unless you pop something in or give us a thumbs up, we don't know you're with us, but we do want to acknowledge you if you are. But you have to let us know you're there. So another thing that I love about your explanation is all of the analogies. So for those of you who are working to have better communication in the practice, I really encourage you to go back and listen to the Facebook Live that Dr. Julie and I have done, because he does a really great job giving you analogies. So remember that people remember stories. They don't necessarily remember facts, but they remember stories. And so Dr. Brian has so many stories that he uses in his in the classroom so you can better communicate chiropractic philosophy to your practice members on terms that they can then share with their friends, their family members, and help their friends and family members make sense of this decision that they have made to bring chiropractic care into their life. So thank you so much.
Oh, it's a blast. And that's what we're doing is the adjustment between the ears is as much as the adjustment between the vertebrae that's important for our patients. And so finding a way to just talk to them, and our great advantage is the face-to-face time we get with our patients. And so we don't want to waste it on how was the weather or how about them Patriots or whatever. We want to take all the opportunity to put some sort of TikTok in there, just so that they understand. And probably the biggest thing, is just say your piece. Anybody's going to do whatever they're going to do. So we don't have control over that. So I don't want to make them wrong for it. And I'm certainly not going to make people wrong for decisions they made before they knew information. And so the issue is, well, let's take a look at this. And well, what do you think about it? And involve them in the conversation. I think if we involve our patients, practice members in the conversation, that's probably what they appreciate almost as much as the great chiropractic care that they get, because they're not often involved in the conversation allopathically. If you use the vaccine example, especially in New York State right now, you're not involved in the conversation. Somebody's just telling you this is going to happen. And going to your point, we have an informed consent that we have to have by law. And that informed consent says this is what's going to be done for your body. This is what the chiropractor is going to do. Here are the possible effects. Here are your other avenues that you can take. So we do it, and we don't do it. And I don't want to say we do it because the law says we do it. I just think as a practitioner, somebody says the other day, a student, well, what we do is non-invasive. No, it isn't. We're putting a force into the body, and we're doing neurosurgery without cutting somebody open. And so it's hugely invasive. And so if you put the wrong thrust in at the wrong time, that's no good. And so, but so we're just telling our patients, hey, this is your choice. So here's the situation of your spine. Here's the other things that you can do. What do you want to do? And I think they appreciate that openness. And that's all we have to do is let them know. Now, if I tell my story as well as I can possibly tell it, and somebody says no, to a degree, yeah, I'm going to be bummed out a little bit because I know what chiropractic can do for somebody. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to sleep really well because I have trained myself and I've learned I do have to divorce myself from the result. My job is just to tell the story as well as possible, work really hard at it, and tell it to lots and lots of people. So it's not just, let me tell the story. I got to go find people to tell it to, and then hopefully I tell it well enough.
And remember, it's a conversation. So like on the crawler right now, 3 statements and a question. So
Right.
I did that early on in practice so I didn't have diarrhea to like ask myself, okay, have you overdone it?
Yeah.
And so my rule was just kind of like 3 statements and then a question to bring them in. And remember that the question isn't, you agree with me, right?
Right.
That's not a question. Like an engaging question of, have I presented this in a way that makes sense to you? Or to ensure that I'm conveying this properly, can you give me an example of what I'm describing?
Mhm.
Right? That pulls them into the conversation and it makes them feel like they're a valuable part. So if you're getting that blank stare from your practice member, please know they're not listening.
No.
So don't talk more, ask them questions. And you can also throw some humor into it. Like, my coach keeps telling me don't like have diarrhea in the mouth, and I think I just pooped on you. Really, like, clean that off. Yeah.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is that shows the humanness of you.
Yeah.
And that makes or me, because I do the same thing. And I think sometimes medical doctors, they're on this pedestal that you can't challenge and you can't ask, and that they're not human, they're superhuman. They're men and women just like us. And I'm not saying this to tear them down, I'm just saying this, what we do usually is better customer service, where you just talk to it. I'm not perfect, and I'm with you. We're here on these lives because I like talking about chiropractic and the principles. And I found myself in practice, boy, I'm pretty sure I can go through chapters 1 through 8 of Stevenson's on this new patient orientation. And they just totally gloss over. Right. And so for me, it's gotten real short. And what it does, though, the nice part about it, I might still say everything I was going to say in the past. I just spread it out over the visits. So if you want to know what to do on your care plan, get them under care and then just add in the other stuff. Because the day that they come in our line of work, traditionally, something hurts. And so if it hurts, they're irritated, they're aggravated, they've probably tried a bunch of other avenues, so now they're frustrated. The last thing they want to do is write an essay or hear an essay on Brian Dooley and the 33 Principles, because then I'm making it about me.
Yes.
And that's where I'm trying to be interesting, as to use you, versus being interested in their situation. And so that was what you had said that about 47,000 times when you came up to Sherman last time. And it's so right. So that's what those first couple of days, it's about them, get them. I'm interested in them, which will get them interested in me. And they'll be open to receiving the information a little bit better. And now I'm able to lay out, this is what I'm going to say for my care plan. I can just say, and again, a couple of sentences, maybe a question. And that's it the whole time. And they get it. Give them time to digest it.
And I think a lot of times we keep talking because we don't have confidence. So we're hoping that if we throw enough out there, something's going to stick. Well,
Yeah.
Do your homework. What needs to be said to that individual? Like Brian said, when they come to us, we'd all like to think that they come first. They don't. They've usually tried everything else, and then they appear in our office. And so, if we think that, I think it's really kind of old school that you have to do all this education on the first visit before you come back for the report of findings. I totally disagree. I think that what causes people to stick is a relationship. Yeah. And that's knowing, like, I get you. I get that this sucks. I get that you just want your life to resume. Got it. So here's what your first series of care looks like. Um, and I think along those lines, like giving them the space to be wrong if that's necessary and that it's okay, it's going to go a long ways in
Right.
keeping the relationship going. And I want to circle back around to one other thing.
Sure.
You know, Brian was talking about having TikTok with every visit. And I want to tell all of you, you have the time. You have the time to have a short conversation with every member of your practice every single day when they come in. And please don't fall prey to, oh, I'm just tired. That's an emotion that you can have control over. If you're too tired to educate your practice members, you're too tired to serve them that day. Like, no offense, but take a private day for yourself and
Sure.
get the energy back. When you show up in your practice, you will be on. And if that means that you have to work Mondays, take Tuesdays off to rest, work Wednesdays, take Thursdays off to rest, so be it. When you're in your practice, you give 1,000% to your practice members, because so many times has a chiropractor found and been the one to discover a potentially life-altering diagnosis for that practice member that everybody else has missed.
Right.
And maybe it's because we're on our game. Maybe it's because we don't see people as one entity. We see them as a whole.
Right.
So, docs, please, and I'm learning this one the hard way, we have to take care of ourselves.
So you said something interesting there, and it went back to me with Principle 25. So let's relate that to our business. And so if, I am the innate intelligence of my business, right? So I have the idea of what I want this thing to be, a chiropractic office, how I want it to look like. And so the principle says innate doesn't injure or destroy the structures in which they work. So if you don't want to take the time to talk to your patients about TikTok every day, you are breaking Principle 25. You are injuring and destroying the structure in which you're working, which is literally your office. And so we have to take the time to train our CAs. We have to take the time to train our patients, and we have to take the time to train ourselves. Jesus and Gandhi had 24 hours in a day also. But what they didn't do probably a lot of is talking about the weather, right? So it's, one of the ways to track it, well, I don't have time, I do whatever. Have your CAs listen, record yourself with the patients. How many times were you on tick or off tick? And just keep a log, So as of right now, don't try to change anything. Take a day or a week, this week, or the end of this week, next week, and just log it and see where the issue is. And I bet you would be surprised. I have a personal rule that me and my CA, we want to get into a chiropractic conversation with the patient within 30 seconds of them showing up in front of us. And just throw something out there. And, I'll hear the students will say, well, gosh, you're always, let's just say we're, talking about whatever, the guitar analogy. Let's say I'm going to say, all right, we're going to talk about the guitar to the patients. And then people will say, well, it gets so tired of doing it to every patient. But for that patient, it's the only time they hear it. And again, the office is not for us. It's for the people that are coming in. Now, we get to reap some rewards from it, which are pretty nice at times, but it's for those people. And so have the discipline, right, to say, this is the thing I want to talk about today. That's where, the whiteboard topics are a fantastic way to do it. Because here's the thing, people will say, gosh, how do you teach the same? I teach the 33 principles 4 times a year. Every time I do it, and every principle I do it with each class, talking to you, doing wherever, it's always a different conversation. It might be the same starting point, but the conversation itself is always different, so I don't get tired of it. And it helps me be better at delivering the message, because, I don't want to injure or destroy the structure in which I work. It is completely up to me. And so, but I have to make that energy, because otherwise then my dream of a practice stays a dream. It doesn't ever become a goal, and it doesn't ever become an attained goal at that point.
I started doing whiteboard topics in my practice 20 years ago. And, sometimes it would just be a word, like the word value or vomit or
Yeah.
fever, or, I mean, it could even be like, joy. Like what do you do to bring joy into your life?
Yeah.
And to me, it was all about being able to connect with my practice members. And because conversations lead to connection, connection to relationship, and relationship to commitment, even if that conversation didn't start out chiropractically, I knew I was going to go towards chiropractic because that's what they were in my office for, was to improve their life. And that's the chiropractic message, right? Is to live better. And that is by far, for anyone watching this now or watching it later, if you want to have the biggest shift in referrals and retention, it's whiteboard topics.
So easy. Can I give a plug for another website?
Yeah.
So regarding whiteboard topics, so if you're sitting there listening to it now or listening later, all right, great. Well, what in the etchy double hockey sticks am I going to say? If you go to www.patientmedia.com, which is Bill Estev's site, he, under his free resources, he's got a gazillion of them. And so all you got to do, and what's nice about what Bill does is you can pull off the whiteboard topic, and then he's got the answer next to it. So you can fashion all right, you know exactly what to say. It's so idiot proof, even a Dooley could do it. And so I would highly recommend using that, because, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And you don't have to worry about, well, gosh, now I got to come up with, he's got about close to 100 something whiteboard topics, which if you did one every day, that's 20 weeks. So then you just recycle them because they'll be different. And
yeah.
so then a patient that maybe heard about vomit today, in 6 months, they may actually give you the answer when you say, what do you think about vomit? You know what, I've been thinking about it, and you know what it is? Your body doing this and that, the other thing, versus I have no idea why you have that up on the whiteboard. So
right.
if it's a different conversation and a more in-depth conversation, a valued one, but from the same topic. So it's okay to retread stuff. Look at Facebook. You see your favorite memes show up all the time.
Again,
and so because people are retreading that stuff because that's just normal. Look at, do you have a favorite TV episode that you like to watch? Oh, Magnum PI is on. I love this episode. I'm going to sit and watch it, even though I may have seen it. How many times have you seen Star Wars? How many times have you seen Harry Potter? We keep coming back to that stuff. It's okay to retread things. And so that's where patient media, I think, is great, because it's a resource that's taking care of the whiteboard topics for you in lots of really, really cool ways. So thank you for letting me make that plug for Bill.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I have a list, I don't know, it's like 450 or 460 of them. Everyone watching this wants it. I've also done a plethora of Facebook Live as whiteboard topics.
Oh, there you go.
If I was
so
in
just go to barbara.com.
Yeah, I would.
I'll make a plug for that website too.
I would for sure be doing a whiteboard topic at least every single week as a Facebook Live. And just even like what Brian was saying about a guitar. Get a blow up guitar and be like, hey, I'm going to teach you about what this guitar and chiropractic has in common today. Right. And then